Hey there, all my Rotation 411 Astrology subscribers. So I wanted to test the live stream on the new site, readings.psychicschool.com. It's supposed to be able to stream to Facebook and YouTube and the new site at the same time. So I thought I'd check it out. And I know I said I would come back and do Megan Fox with Brian Austin Green, but I'm more interested. I've been wanting to do Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love forever now. So I haven't looked. I know they have a moon conjunction. I stumbled across that when I was just looking up. I had been looking up random celebrity couples that have actually been married for a long time in Hollywood just to see what their moons were like. And I actually was just thinking about whether Kurt Cobain's moon was in Pisces, because I know he has a stellium in Pisces. You may have heard me say this before if you've watched other videos. So I actually got on here today. Happy Friday. It's 8 o'clock. I made it on before like 2 in the morning. And I'm going to try to make it, brief but thorough, because it is Friday and I have places to go and people to see. Hopefully, if I don't end up taking a nap. You know how that goes. Anyways, so I'm trying to give this a minute to load, but it's taking forever. But I did go ahead. If you've watched the other Celebrity Synastry, you know that I showed you. Let me go ahead and show you how I pull up the synastry charts. Let's see here. Let's see. I curled my hair twice today and it fell out both times. It looked gorgeous the first time. All right. Why, you guys, my brain is like freezing here. Somebody's in here with me. Hi. Hi, whoever it is. And I don't know why it didn't update like my subscribers at the top. If you look over there, it says Black Wing Sarah. So shout out to her. She subscribed like a month ago when I did the other Celebrity Synastry series, but I've had a couple new subscribers since then. So I'm not sure why I didn't update. The whole software updated today, but I'm going to go ahead and show you the charts really quick. I'm not wearing my headphones today, so hopefully you all can hear me. Where is it, you guys? Oh, there it is. All right. Yeah, okay. See, I'm trying to see if the site will live stream. But it is taking its sweet time to load. So we're going to go ahead and it's kind of complicated if you have the birth times on how to add charts in Cafe Astrology. So if you want to see the whole long drawn out spiel of that, watch the MGK Megan Fox video. But for right now, I'm just going to go, I added their charts already with their birth times. And so you just hit add a person. And I had just added Courtney. So I hit add a person, and then you can see Kurt's birth chart down there. So this is their synastry chart with their birth times, and I went ahead and put their birthdays in here already. Courtney is July 9th. I always put the woman first because it's just that way I don't mix them up. I always put the woman first and she's always on the left. And then Kurt is February 20th, so I put him there. I hit OK. And if you want to use these charts yourself, you can go to rotation411.com, and under Astrology, I already clicked the tab. If you click on Astrology, you can see exactly the phase where the moon is right now. So it's first quarter, moon in Pisces, and it'll tell you your local time too. For me, it's Los Angeles, and then if you scroll down, the synastry calculator right here is the one without birth times, and it's the easiest one to use, and you can definitely get a bare bones framework of a relationship that way. Enough of what you need to know whether it's going to work or not, according to my theories. And if you want to do the more complex one with the birth times, it's right here. So also, I want to let everyone know about the Divine Timing database. If you're tired of running all the charts yourself, or you don't quite understand, or a lot of my clients come to me and they have me run like all 3 to 5 to 10 of their exes and the guy they're seeing now and the guy they're wondering about. If you're just tired of going out there and looking one by one, I encourage you to submit to my Divine Timing database, because there is a $10 fee, but it is a service, and it actually is going to go up once the database grows. But it's a way for you to connect with people that you're actually astrologically compatible with, instead of having to go out there and meet someone and get to know them and like them and then run the chart and realize that it's not going anywhere, you know? Why are you all of a sudden at a standstill? So my friend is in digital marketing, and he had pointed out one day, actually, as I was building the Divine Timing database, that a lot of the dating sites, the algorithms are built for us to fail. So with that in mind, I'm doing this so that you hopefully only have to do it one time. You know, if you don't like your choices, you can always come back and submit it again. As the database grows, you may find a better these are going to be much more suitable mates for you than anyone that you're going to find out in the world, because I don't know what it is with the frequency. Everybody's really messed up. It's so rare that you're going to find that one, and I can't guarantee that you'll find them here. It's all about divine timing, right? But I do think you have a better shot if you submit, telling anyone you know that's been having, struggle with love, to submit so they can find their twin flame, their moon conjunction, their moon trines. All right, so let's go ahead and get into Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain. I did pull up their birth charts. Now, I don't spend a whole lot of time in the Celebrity Synastry going over the individual birth charts, just because it would be too time consuming, but we do pull them up for reference so that we have a note. And the first thing you'll notice here is that Kurt Cobain's moon is at 13 degrees Pisces, 13.24 degrees Pisces, and Courtney Love's is 23.16. So this is exactly 13, right? This is exactly a 10-degree orb. Now, the moon's moiety is between 11 to 12 degrees. So anytime the moons are that close, you're going to feel drawn to someone, even if it's out of sign. If you watch any of my other videos, you've heard that before. Oh, where did she go? Oh, it popped some weird thing up. It wants me to create an account. All right, there we go. So, also, what we ideally want, and I've come to the conclusion now after seeing some other charts, that, Vedic or however you say astrology says that the man's moon really needs to be at a lower degree than the woman's moon, and that's what we have here. Kurt's at a 13 degrees of Cancer would be below, because as the sun goes through each sign, or the moon in this case, it's going counterclockwise, so it's starting from 1 and going to 30, that way. So, his moon is below hers. That's proper dignity. And I've said before that the reason, in my own observations, that it wouldn't maybe work out of proper dignity is because usually there are deal breakers. And you see moon conjunctions, sun conjunctions, Venus conjunctions. I have some videos coming out for you guys about some of this stuff, more aspect videos, but I'll definitely be getting into the big 144 series again very soon. I got a lot of stuff off my plate, so I'll be able to continue with that. But these can really smooth things out, even like a Venus conjunct Mars, which is one of the videos coming out. It can smooth things out to the degree that you don't feel like a Venus square Mars, or an aspect that with most, or Mars square Jupiter, which still is destructive, but an aspect that normally people would go their separate ways much sooner. Some really strong conjunction, like Moon, Sun, or Venus, can really smooth this out, where you end up staying in it for a lot longer. So I'm really curious to get in and see, what kind of aspects that these two had. And I haven't looked yet, because I want to do it in real time with you guys. All right, but the thing is that when you have, I've yet to see, maybe one time with a client, where you have a moon conjunction in proper dignity, the man. I can actually show you guys on this chart. It'll be a little easier to see. So here we are, and the way without the birth times on here that it makes it look, Kurt's moon almost looks like it's in Gemini, but it's actually at 13 degrees Cancer. So in reality, this is overlay, but his moon would actually be kind of where Courtney's is here. Hers is the inner one. The woman's always on the inside and on the left when I put her first, or you put her first. Whether you're reading for yourself or another couple, I recommend, unless it's same sex, to put a woman on the top when you do this, so that she'll be on the inside and on the left. So actually her moon would be much closer to Leo at 23 degrees Cancer, so it would be kind of where it's showing Kurt's Jupiter. Now, this is interesting too. Let's go ahead and see Kurt's Jupiter is in Cancer, if it pushed it out or not. Because a Jupiter-Moon conjunction, yeah, it's, oh wow, it's 25 degrees Jupiter. So you can look at this for reference, but it's, you got to actually look at the details too. So his moon is actually, her moon is 23 degrees Cancer. His moon is his Jupiter is 25 degrees Cancer. Moon Jupiter conjunctions are a beautiful thing. They are, Jupiter does rule Pisces, which is musical. And see, this is Kurt's birth chart here. He has this stellium in Pisces with his Saturn, his Venus, his Mercury. Mercury's communication. Venus is very much about the arts. If you remember the Johnny Depp video, he has Venus on the midheaven. Great for his career, but for Kurt Cobain, so the midheaven is your career, and it's the most visible part of your chart aside from your ascendant, which is how you present yourself over here. Your midheaven is like your peak, and so like someone like Johnny Depp, world famous mega movie star, his Venus is on his midheaven. Kurt Cobain has it in his 6th house, which is in a trine. No, it's sextile normally, but it's the house of work. So he has his Venus there in Pisces. He did all the work. He had Pisces with his Sun, his Mercury, his Venus. He had that ability to just communicate this beautiful music, all right? And that is a lot of where his ability came from, was the stellium in Pisces. I also see with a lot of musical artists, a lot of 12th house planets. And they do say 2nd house too, and his Mars is in his 2nd house, traditionally ruled by Taurus. He has it in opposition here with Scorpio, so he definitely has all the markings with Mars in his 2nd house. The 2nd house is your voice. It's also your finances, so he had that ability to use his voice to make money. Again, I said I wasn't going to go too much into like their personal birth charts, but I have looked at his once or twice in the past. And then he does have his Pluto in the 12th. People with these 12th house planets, like Mariah Carey, for example. I think Whitney Houston just has some Pisces stuff going on, but I was surprised. I had looked through a few one day, and a lot of them are in Aries too, which is ruler of the head in the 12th house. But you'll see this. But sorry, you guys, I'm saying "but" a lot. So with his Pluto here and his Uranus, like, this just Uranus gave him this electric ability to tap into that 12th house otherworldly realm, which is ruled by Pisces traditionally, and it is in opposition to his 6th house in Pisces. I actually have this going on too. I'm not a Virgo rising like Kurt, but I'm 0 degrees Libra. So I have this 12th 6th house opposition with the 6th house should traditionally be in Virgo. He has it in Pisces, and the 12th house should traditionally be in Pisces, and he has it in Virgo. But there is a very musical thing going on with the 6th house in Pisces. I have a grand water trine with my 2nd, 6th, and 12th that I just found. Like, I probably should have gone into music a long time ago. But anyways, I'm going to play with it now. But he definitely has the markers for a wonderful musical artist, and he is a Pisces with a Cancer moon. Now, Cancer moons are the most common moons. I see them the most often. I believe that it's kind of like how there's more Tauruses or Leos and Cancers in nature than there are Aries. Maybe it's like certain times of the year that people tend to breed more. A lot of people in the winter are going to have, children in the summer, right? But it's also, I think, with the moon, why there's so many moons in Cancer is because the moon is ruled by Cancer, and it's just a very natural placement for the moon. And Cancer is it rules the home, the mother, so does the moon, and so it's just a very nurturing feminine placement. This could be why a lot of children are born. Now remember, the moon goes through all 12 signs every month, so it's, I mean, we can't really do the math on it, but I just do feel like a lot of children are born, a lot of people are born when the moon is in Cancer. I see that moon, it's more common than any other moon, at least from what I've seen. But Courtney, hers is 23 degrees Cancer. She's actually a double Cancer. Her sun is in Cancer, and this is where her musical talent and ability comes from. And then she has her ascendant in Libra. My ascendant is in Libra as well. So, I was just looking at the photos of them. Go back to the slideshow for a minute while I check on that. I was just looking at the photos of them here, and she's got like the short bleach blonde hair. I guess, it's very Libra rising, I guess. Let's see if we can get this to reload. I really want to, I came on here tonight to try to see if that would work, so I'm messing with that. But we're going to go ahead and get into the aspects now, because I'm not going to keep you all night long. Go back here. And for those that love astrology, this is the fun part. But for those of you that don't, and again, I don't really get into their background stories too much or anything like that, because, you know, you can Google it, you can look it up. I'm sure you have some idea of these people's stories if you have an interest in them. So we have, first of all, and I'm doing it without the birth times first, and then we can go in, you know, I always check the moons first, but we kind of already went over that. They have a beautiful moon conjunction within moiety, 10 degrees, in proper dignity. And again, I don't know if I got to this point, but the only reason that moon conjunctions not being in proper dignity, as long as they're in sign, in my experience, is an issue, is because they're more likely to have deal breakers. And deal breakers are worse than divorce aspects in a way, because deal breakers mean that you can't even get to that point of marriage. Then again, divorce, it could be worse, you know, that you could get to that point and then break up. So deal breakers and divorce aspects, I don't, you know, sometimes those phrases could sound like they're, one is worse than the other. They're both bad. They both mean a couple's not going to work out in the long term. But I want to see if they have any of these, because I don't typically see them with moon conjunctions. So we have Sun trine Mercury. This is Courtney's Mercury is in, let's go down here really quick. Courtney's Mercury is the first degree Leo, so it's an out of sign trine with his Pisces sun, but he's 1 degree Pisces with his sun. So it is an out of sign trine, but it's very tight. So I like to see this when the signs are proper, you know, polarity. Like say someone's Venus is in Pisces to a Mercury in Cancer, like that could be a beautiful communication. But it definitely, like, they understand each other, they like to talk to each other. Mercury square Mars. Now, I don't like to see any Mars squares or oppositions, but if I had to see one, I would say kind of like Pluto. Pluto square Mercury is not actually that bad. It's very stimulating. It could be a little overstimulating if you're like separate from that person. So Mercury's probably one of the better planets, but it does cause a lot of mental chaos, and it can cause a lot of arguments. So this could be where a lot of these fiery arguments came from. Oh, I lied, you guys. It's her sun trine his Mercury in Pisces. So it's her sun in Cancer. So it is in sign. It is an in sign. I love it. So nope, I'm lying to you guys again. I'm confusing myself. I keep thinking Kurt's on the left just because he's more prominent in my mind. But her Mercury square his Mars. So whatever his actions were, she would have mental conflict about. Or if he wanted to do something, you know, she might try to talk him out of it, and that might frustrate him because he might feel like she's standing in the way of things that he wanted to do. Now, this can play out in little ways or major ways with a couple, but it's just a point of frustration, you know. And Mars, though, let's see what else they got going on here. Mercury trine Saturn is beautiful. It means even if they had parted ways and he had lived, they would have continued to communicate into old age. I saw this story when I had been watching all the new documentaries of him that had come out a few years ago, and Courtney was, this is one of my favorite stories to tell about them. Courtney was talking about how she had seen his ghost, and I was a little freaked out because I was reading it, and I'm from like the Seattle area where Kurt was from, and they had lived there and in Los Angeles. So she was talking about, she saw his ghost, and as I'm reading the article, it's like 3 in the morning, and it's like 3 a.m. I'm in my apartment in Hancock Park, Los Angeles, and it says she saw his ghost in Hancock Park, Los Angeles, when she was living with Edward Norton. And I'm like, you know, because I'm afraid of ghosts, but I wouldn't care, I guess, about Kurt Cobain's ghost so much, but you know what I'm saying. I always ask them not to show themselves to me. I'm not afraid of them, but I would prefer not to see them when I'm home alone at 3 in the morning in the dark. So anyways, so Mercury trine Saturn is like, Saturn is that lifelong connection where they could communicate. Now, they're not necessarily spiritual planets, Mercury and Saturn. I'm going to see where her, I mean, I could look at like what house her Mercury is in, but I don't want to drag this on too long. Venus square Mercury. This can cause, let me double check what the definition of this one is, just to give myself a reminder. I think this is the one where they have interminable discussions. let me just, Venus square Mercury. Their relationship can sometimes be agreeable, sometimes disturbed. They tend to like to share their ideas that are not always to the other's taste. So they may have interminable discussions in order to convince each other of their mistakes. Lack of judgment or lack of taste, it's best to be aware of this bickering tendency to overcome it, as it can slowly eat away at a relationship. Now, I don't even consider this one to be a red flag. I did have it with my ex-husband, I think going both ways. And it's true, like we would go into these discussions and we felt bonded by them. Really, we felt like we would have the same argument over and over and over and over, but they were more like, they weren't the arguments. Mercury and Venus, they aren't the kind of planets that like these are going to be devastating arguments. You know, even Pluto square Mercury, it's more of a mental challenge than a devastating argument. Mars square Mercury might be a little bit more, or even Mars square Pluto or Saturn square Pluto, even though it's not dealing with Mercury in communication, they're going to fight much more damage is going to be involved. These is just like mental frustration, bickering, arguing, like an old married couple does. And with the, trine with the Sun and Mercury going the other way, her Sun was trine his Mercury, and her Venus was square his Mercury. So her personality could get along with his way of thinking, but her maybe when she wanted to do something artistic, he might have a hard time seeing it. But that's just certain times, certain interactions. Her Venus is square his Uranus. Now, I have seen this with a celebrity. They weren't a couple, but it was two celebrities that I looked up, and I might have mentioned this before, but her and her husband have terrible synastry, and I don't know, I'm waiting to see how that plays out. But she actually had worked with another celebrity, and they had beautiful synastry together. Their moon conjunction is in a 2-degree orb in proper dignity, and I wonder like what their interaction was really like, because you never heard much about them, just they were in a movie together. And so they had Venus square Uranus, and I do see that one can make a relationship. Usually it'll make it where it doesn't really form. For these two, it could have actually helped them kind of get back together after periods of separation, just from working in different areas and touring and things like that. Maybe being isolated from each other, working on their music. Venus square Pluto, this one causes a tremendous attraction, but it can cause a lot of resentment and hurt when they break up. Mars square Mercury going the other way. A lot of arguing here, a lot of bickering, a lot of mind games, but more so in the realm of, oh, you're going to do this, or why are you going to do that, or what are you doing? Maybe a little bit with Mercury does rule like Virgo, so it could be a little bit of criticism too, like why would you do that, and why do you do this, and then Mars trying to justify why they do, like, I have a reason for doing what I do, I just do it because I'm Mars, and we're all about action, I say we're because, Mars rules Aries and I'm an Aries. But anyways, Jupiter sextile Mercury. This is just like kind of giving them even more of a really strong desire to communicate, getting a lot of joy from communicating with each other. It's almost like one of those where you can't wait to talk to them, but now all of a sudden you settle in after a day or two and you're bickering and fighting. Okay. Jupiter trine Pluto. That is a really unique, nice one that I've been seeing more and more. It's just harmonious, really. Saturn conjunct Sun. Now, this is her Saturn conjunct his Sun, and you'll see this a lot, especially with like Saturn square Venus, but Saturn conjunct Sun. Usually when you're seeing Saturn to Sun, you're seeing that the Saturn person is older, and I did note just now that Courtney Love was about 3 years older than him. That's not a huge age difference, but her Saturn being conjunct his Sun and trine his Mars obviously shows us that, he definitely was the younger one, which kind of verifies that. I just want to go ahead and look here and see. If you want a live reading from me, you guys, oh dang, it's not streaming through. It's supposed to be streaming through here. I don't know what's going on. If you want a live reading from me, you can go ahead and go to readings.com, and I can do your synastry. I think when you first log in, it will show you the up at the top. You can order like a complete synastry, chart from me or birth chart, or you can just come in here and you can like ask a question if I'm not around, and I'll answer you within 24 hours with a 3 to 5 minute video response. And you'd be surprised how much I can fit into those, as far as just going over your current situation or question, or I'll do a tarot reading or astrology depending on what information you give me and what the issue is. And you can also order live text messaging, audio or video call from me, instant request if I'm online. Do note, like right now Samantha's available for audio calls, so you don't order a video call because you're just going to be overcharging yourself and it's going to pull you into the audio call. We're working on fixing that so that it won't do that, but it's just right now it's brand new. So see, it says live stream, but when you go in there it's not pulling it up. So anyways, back to Courtney and Kurt. We're going to finish up with the aspects here. Saturn trine Mars is this can create a loyalty between the two. So regardless of like Venus square Uranus and them, kind of being separate at times and all over the place from each other, this one can, I like this view better. This one can just definitely, it's a great working relationship. It's great for building a home and a marriage. As a partnership, it's great for building a business. It's great boss-employee, great business partners aspect, Saturn trine Pluto. And the thing about Saturn is that he gets greater with time. So over time, this is how, they were kind of able to build an empire together. Maybe they wouldn't be necessarily together, but they were building their empires at the same time. And we do know, whether right or wrong, or you like it or not, Courtney did end up with his estate. So this is an aspect of that, and I don't know what terms they were on when he passed, but it's saying that at some point he probably would have been okay and trusted her with those kind of responsibilities. And with the Moon conjunction and the harmony there, yes, it is wide, but it's still in moiety, and the Moon is a very magnetic pole, proper dignity, same sign. So with that Moon conjunction and Saturn trine Mars, there was a lot of trust between these two. They really trusted each other. And think about it, like rock stars, to have a marriage in that kind of environment. I mean, a lot of people, and kind of the way I always thought of them before I noticed that they had a Moon conjunction, and I was watching these, documentaries, and one she actually allowed them to put together with his artwork and stuff that she had stored away, and I loved that. And that's another kind of Saturn trine Mars, her Saturn looking out for him, even post-mortem, keeping his stuff like that. That's really sweet. But I do think that one was beautiful. But then there's ones where they're trying to say she plotted his murder and she murdered him. So I was trying to wrap my head around it, and if anything, they were just such free spirits. They're water signs, so they were heavy emotions, which is great for their music again. But and they were really able to show that to the world. It was just like, I kind of saw them as a little, and you can see this a lot with like Pisces Mercury. I have a Pisces Mercury like Kurt Cobain. They say that like we can seem a little airheady because we're in our own world, our imagination a lot. So I kind of thought of them as kind of like flighty, like maybe they don't really stick together, but I do think this was a really tight bond that these two had. A lot of trust, but a lot of arguing and a lot of bickering. But they don't really have, in my handful of terms, as far as deal breakers go, they don't have any deal breakers or divorce aspects. But I would say, with Mars square Mercury going both ways, I don't recommend Mars square or opposition anyone else's personal planets. If I had to see it, Mercury would be the least detrimental, I guess, but it's still, mentally it's not an easy relationship to be in. So it could have created some creativity between them, some collaboration, especially in the beginning before it kind of took over and they just started arguing all the time. Venus square Mercury, that again will get them really hooked into conversation with each other, where they feel like, and especially with the Jupiter sextile Mercury, like this is the person I gotta call and tell things to. But then it's like it's like something new may happen for you. So I was married with Venus square Uranus and Venus square Mercury, and this is like the person that you want to call when something happens, like, oh, guess what, da 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 da, like these things are breaking through for me, da da da, I did this and that, and they're gonna, oh yeah, well, remember last time that you did that, and just be careful because it might not work out for you, but I'm here and I love you and I support you. And so it's kind of that criticism with Mercury, but at the same time it's like them holding you back mentally reminding you of, who you are, and not really letting you evolve in your mental space to grow. Or with Venus, your artistic abilities, or even your wealth, but your arts, your wealth, and your beauty. They might even maybe make you feel a little insecure about how you look, possibly, depending on how it's placed. I never had that experience with him, but Mars square Mercury, it's just a lot of criticism about where are you going, what are you doing, why do you do that, why would you do that, da 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 da. And I mean, that might be a little bit in every relationship, but this would be, especially going both ways, a lot of that. And it could have over time really worn on them. But with really supportive aspects like Saturn trine Mars and Moon conjunct Moon, I would say that I do still think that these two are twin flames. But definitely in this lifetime, Mercury in Pisces, especially for Kurt, it was being heavily afflicted, but she was challenging him too, because Mercury in Pisces, like I said, which is what Kurt has, can be really in their head. With her Venus and her Mars squaring his Mercury, she might have had to really make him think and articulate and kind of come out of his head a little bit. So squares aren't always for the worst. They can be productive as well. But yeah, at times when they were idle and they were just hanging out and they weren't being productive, it could really be a little bit chaotic for him mentally with her. But she's also very mentally stimulating for him as well, and somewhat of a muse as well. Lilith square Mercury and Lilith square Pluto. There was some insinuation, and that she might be. She says in one of the documentaries that she never cheated on him, and he was so intuitive. And I believe this with his stellium in Pisces, and then the Moon conjunction, which creates great ESP and telepathy between two people, whether they realize it or not. They're just very connected. She said the one time she. Hey there everyone, so I was able to, I hope I'm loud enough and not too loud, I was able to go ahead and get the live stream to work on, oh goodness, it's because of the display capture, but let's see here. I was able to get it to work on readings.psychicschool.com, so you can see it here too on my phone. You see that? Yeah, so if you go over there, you can watch me live as well, and you can book an instant live reading with me afterwards. I was at a critical moment with my Synastry reading between Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love, so I left a little bit of a cliffhanger. But because I was messing around with the live on readings.psychicschool.com, it ended up kicking out of YouTube around 8 minutes, so I made that private, and then it kicked out of Facebook around 35, so I downloaded that. I'm going to stitch them together. We are streaming live on YouTube right now, but this live will come down and I'll stitch the two together, so the Kurt Cobain, Courtney Love Synastry video will be one on YouTube, and it'll have the part 2 that's streaming right now on Facebook. And I did go ahead and make it where, let's see here, it's so funny that it's doing that with the display capture. I did go ahead and make it where, let's see, I lost my train of thought, you guys, but let's get back into what I was saying yesterday, because it was good that I had to wait overnight, even though it was the first time I did the Celebrity Synastry, where I was pretty clear, concise, and quick with it. It just wanted to do what it wanted to do. I'm going to go ahead and click out of here. Oh, see? It showed you really quick right there that it does indeed work. So if you want to go watch on readings.psychicschool.com, there's other advisors that will be going live as well. And again, that's where you can order a private reading with me. So once I leave here, you can order an instant one, or you can leave me a message and I'll get back to you within 24 hours. Here's how you do the messages, the questions. You can do it straight from there, or you can go down here and submit it here. This way you can actually upload, if you want to send me a video or a picture. A lot of times my clients send me a photo of whoever they're inquiring about, so I can pick up on the energy more. It's up to you, however you like to do it. But let's go ahead and get back into Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain, because it's still early on a Friday night and I haven't been out in a few weeks. I've been working on the computer a lot, so I'm contemplating between going out and staying in and just using my energy to edit videos, because I have a lot of them coming out for you guys. But it was good that I waited overnight, because I realized overnight that Courtney does see she has a Venus-Mars conjunction here, which I hadn't noticed in the video last night, because I was thinking about how Kurt's Mercury is square her Venus and her Mars, and it is possible that they could be like her Mars and Venus could have been in opposition and his Mercury could have been square those. So, and that actually would be a different story. So with his Mercury being square her Venus-Mars conjunction, a Venus-Mars conjunction is a really beautiful placement. It's fairly common. Venus and Mars are often near each other and near the sun as well. Usually they're only 1 or 2 signs away from the sun. So like with a Cancer sun, like Courtney, see her Venus and Mars are in Gemini. It's only 1 sign away. They're usually not that close together, but it is quite common. And what a Venus-Mars conjunction means is a love marriage. It's a lot like having a Venus in Pisces, which I believe that Kurt has as well. Yeah, his Venus is in Pisces. So when your Venus is exalted in Pisces, you're going to usually, as a man, get like a really fantastic, they say like just like a woman who, someone like Courtney who has these extreme artistic capabilities and musical capabilities, or well, she has a Libra rising, so someone who's really beautiful, or that, everyone sees is really beautiful or feels that is really beautiful. And so what we're getting into yesterday, though, was about this Lilith. I'm going to go back to where the birth times are not. And then we'll get actually into the moon aspects a little, because we didn't do that yesterday either. But with her Lilith being square his Mercury as well, I wonder... Let's look at her birth chart. Her Lilith is... Oh, see, her Lilith is over here in that Sagittarius area opposite her Venus-Mars conjunction. So Lilith is the bad girl reputation. And where I had left off yesterday before it cut me off is that, women with Lilith, like on their ascendant, which is just like... Let's go back to your ascendant is here. That's just like who you are. Like, hello, I'm me. I'm a Libra rising. I am, and so is Courtney Love, and so is Britney Spears, and so is what's her name, Anna Nicole Smith. Like a Libra rising in itself can be a little bit of like not everyone's gonna be blonde, but like that blonde bombshell kind of look. I'm not saying like I'm a blonde bombshell, but at certain days I can have that kind of a look because I have a Libra rising. So with a Libra ascendant, Libra is beauty. So, for instance, my astrologer had pointed out to me, like, it's part of the reason that I went into aesthetics, skincare, is because of my Libra rising. So, when you put someone's Lilith, now Courtney's Lilith is on her 3rd house cusp, but if you put a woman's Lilith on her midheaven, or her ascendant, for instance, this is how she comes off to the world. So Lilith is like, if you've ever heard of like the Lilith festival, it's like women power, but it's that, raw, it's like the wife before Adam, Adam's wife before Eve, they say, was Lilith. Like, she's raw, feminine power, comes from the mud. Like, there's a lot of mythology about her. And as an asteroid, she's quite mysterious. She even can represent the unknown. But they do say in a man's chart, she represents, like, the kind of woman that he really is drawn to, but that, he might not think that it's socially acceptable to be with, or it's the kind of woman that, he would have an affair with. So, with her Lilith being on her 3rd house cusp, like right around her 2nd house, 3rd house is communication, 2nd house is your voice. So this is why her music kind of has that like trashy but sexy, raw feeling to it, That would be her Lilith, like right between her 2nd and 3rd house, using her 2nd house, her voice, to communicate through her 3rd house. Now, a woman whose Lilith, for example, is on the midheaven is going to have a lot of sort of she could be famous or infamous. Like Taylor Swift has Lilith on the midheaven, and a lot of people just don't like her. Like, I have Lilith on the midheaven, and I just don't like Taylor Swift. I don't know. I'm real picky about country music to begin with, and she's pretty, but to me she's just kind of boring, but kind of in maybe a way that I would see myself as boring or plain, because my Lilith is on the midheaven, so maybe she's reflecting that back to me, and it has nothing to do with her. But there's a lot of women with the Lilith on the midheaven that, it's like, if we go into a meek, mild career, people are going to be like, you're so beautiful, why are you sitting behind a desk? But if we go and we show off our beauty, people are going to be like, oh, she just wants attention, she's just putting herself out there. So just to give you an idea of how Lilith can operate very strongly, especially in a female's chart, now we go look at how Courtney's Lilith is being aspected to Kurt's planets, they're squares. So even though I think that Kurt Cobain was very open-minded and not judgmental and probably supportive of her, especially, you know, they challenged each other, you know, here with her Venus being in hard aspect to all these planets. But with Lilith, it's like, this is where I left off yesterday, would kind of trash her or be like, why is he with her? Or she's kind of whatever, you know, she's messing around and all this stuff. And they've said that about her then in postmortem. And I had gone into how she had defended herself and said in her, you know, that his intuition was so strong with that Pisces stellium. And I said I could really see that there, you know, and I didn't mention this yesterday, but I actually have my Venus and Mercury in Pisces as well in the 6th house. So, you know, when it comes to day-to-day life and work, that's how he was able to be so creative, use his voice, and he really did the work, especially coming from a place like Aberdeen. Like, I grew up pretty in the same state as him, but a similar type of culture. Most people don't come out of there and do anything like he did. So one thing I had noticed with his montage of Heck that actually Courtney had released to the public, a lot of his writing and stuff, is that he had written these to-do lists, and this is what I do, you know, as well. And you kind of have to do that when you have, you know, this Pisces Virgo thing going on, where your head, you just have all these ideas and all this imagination, but Virgo, you have to substantiate it. And I do think that maybe that's an inherent gift that we were taught growing up, just having this similar chart as him here, with this Pisces and Virgo being in the opposite natural placements, and then Venus and Mercury being actually debilitated there. Hold up. I had a little tickle in my throat, actually. I'm glad that it ended yesterday, even though this is going to drag on a little, but we'll get back to where I left off. So the crazy thing about Venus and Mercury being in his 6th house is that Mercury is debilitated there. That's your planet of communication. Like I said, how Courtney's 3rd house is communication. Well, that's Gemini, and Mercury rules that 3rd house in Gemini of communication. So his Mercury is debilitated here. He had to really work to use his voice and to get it out there. But with Venus there, Venus is beauty. Venus also rules the 2nd house, so it was the 3rd house is Mercury. Venus is the 2nd house, which is your voice. And Venus is exalted in Pisces. So he had a debilitated Mercury, but an exalted Pisces in the 6th house. So he was willing to do the work to develop that Mercury, you know, write things down with this opposition. And with Pluto in the 12th, this is a very psychic placement too. So kind of going back to what we were saying about him and Courtney, he's got Pluto in the 12th, and he's got the stellium in Pisces. And even though it's the 6th house, and we really, you know, that's usually Virgo's house, so we don't equate it with too much spirituality as astrologists, this stellium in Pisces is going to overrule that, and being an aspect to the 6th house, to Pluto to the 12th, to Pluto in the 12th. The moon on Pluto in the 12th is extremely psychic. Now, Pluto in the 12th people, they may not realize that about themselves. Like, they may just go through life and things just really happen for them, and they just know everything. Because remember, Pluto also represents the 8th house of known secrets. So someone with Pluto in the 12th, they're just going to be like claircognizant. The moon is like that too, but the moon, it's going to be a little bit more like, I feel things a lot of the time. I have my moon in the 12th. A Pluto in the 12th is just, well, I just know everything. Like, I just look at that person and I know everything, and I know how everything clicks together. They're just very informed at the very minimum. They don't even know what they could tap into. So anyways, when Courtney said, like, this story on the montage of Heck, I believe she said that Kurt, the one time she even thought about cheating, she was in like England or something, and she got some guy's number, and she even thought about calling. Kurt this was the night that he supposedly overdosed in the first time, and had taken a bunch of pills, and it was on the news and everything. So, but then people are saying, you know, that's not related, whatever, but that was her story, her version that I heard her say. So, and again, this is all educational purposes. I'm not saying anything for sure. I'm just speculating, but that I did hear an interview where she said that. So with her Lilith square his Mercury and Pluto, there could have been great fear on his part, like Mercury in his mind of her cheating on him. That could have been a real substantial fear of his. Also, though, and also that's his Pluto in the 12th square her Lilith. So if she was, I mean, aside from just his Pisces stellium of being very intuitive, and Moon in Cancer, which they both have that conjunction, and just having a Moon conjunction together is highly intuitive in ESP. I mean, these two, she wouldn't have been able to get away with much, like she was saying. So, but the thing is that when people would talk trash about her and be like, oh, why are you with her? She's no good. You know, she's just out for whatever. He would defend her. So squares, you know, they're very powerful because he was still connected to her. So even though he might sometimes question, like, is she faithful? Is she, you know, what everybody says? Or maybe even, like, criticize her a little up there with his Mercury being square her Venus and Mars, with just all that Mercury going on, he would defend her. Oh, actually, I'm trying to like review what I said last night so I don't miss any of it. The place that he would really defend her is with her north nodes. Now, I said this kind of on the video that's saved, but were they twin flames? With having Mars square Mercury going both ways, I would say that they're possibly twin flames, but if anything, they're very, very, very high level soulmates, because what we don't know is if he had lived or not, whether they would have actually divorced or not, and I think that they were on the edge of that. So for me, whenever Mars is square opposition, it is a deal breaker. I did say last night, you know, Mercury isn't actually officially on the list of that, but you put like Sun square Mercury, and the two can have a hard time coming together, or Mercury could, like, after the relationship, really gossip and talk a lot of smack about the Sun. So, I mean, Mercury square Mars, I just don't like to see any Mars squares or opposition. So they might have actually ended due to that, you know, due to his Mercury being square her Venus-Mars conjunction. It's part of, again, what made her muse and stimulating to him in the first place, but she might have just been too much for him mentally. You know, and he might have been too critical for her when she was trying to grow in her Venus-Mars conjunction, which, again, is a beautiful conjunction. It means a love marriage. His Venus is exalted in Pisces, love marriage, so there's a lot of love here. But anyways, North, and that love overpowers society, right? When society's criticizing them and saying, like, you know, why is he with her? She seems like, you know, a low-down, dirty woman, which would be, I'm not saying that. That's just what people kind of were saying. That's her Lilith, being in a square to his Mercury and Pluto. You know, he's here, you know, these people talk crap about her, but with the her north node, that's your destiny point. That's where you're headed in life. You know, if you're not going in that direction, you're going to feel held back. You know, if you're somebody's aspecting your south node, which would be like a north node opposition, you will see in the cafe astrology, you won't actually see any south node contact. What you're going to see is like north node opposition. That means that somebody's planet is sitting on your south node directly. That means that they're going to bring you great comfort, but you have to be careful because it really depends like how evolved you are in your north node if you're seeking some of that south node comfort. Like, say maybe, like, my north node is in Aries, so I'm really having to evolve in this life and go towards my own individual identity, but I also have a lot of things there that say my partner, my husband, would be Aries. So the thing is like, how do you balance the two? Well, if some Aries comes along and he's got a bunch of planets on my south node, which is Libra, I might feel really comfortable with him and be able to still be myself in the Aries energy. So it's like you, south node, or anybody who's squaring your north node or in opposition, you have to be careful because you might feel stifled, but you might get comfort from it, but you have to make sure that you're still able to activate that north node in other ways, or that they are helping you. Now, the interesting thing I want to say about Lilith really quick before we jump into the north nodes is that I don't see it a whole lot in functioning relationships. Most relationships I see, whether like they're a 2-month, a 4-month, a 1 year, 4-year, they have deal breakers or not, you don't see Lilith a whole lot. Lilith is a very mysterious asteroid. We actually don't know a whole lot about her as astrologists. I might see 1 or 2 here and there, and they're usually more in like, oh, I grew up with a kid and he's really cute and we have pretty cute synastry, but my son is like opposite or square, or his son is opposite or square my Lilith, or something like that. You'll see it like once, 1 aspect or 2 aspects. So you don't, like, I mean, in my marriage, for example, there was a lot of aspects and a lot of good and bad stuff, which made us try to work through it for many years, even though there was deal breakers and such. But there was no Lilith. And we had a lot of, like, I mean, that was probably one of the people that I was most, sexually close to in my life. And Lilith is a sexual planet, and so is Pluto. Like, Lilith square Pluto here, that's a lot of sexual chemistry between them, but something almost like that could never be satisfied and could create a lot of jealousy. So, my point is that most relationships, I'm going to say, it doesn't really equate to, again, it's a mystery to us as astrologists, it doesn't really equate to, like, whether the couple will end up together or not. Like I say with a lot of aspects, this is sort of the time frame of them, or this is what it could smooth out, or this is the damage it could do. With Lilith, it's kind of like a hit or miss. Like, she only shows up maybe in 1% of the synastry charts that I run. She's not in most relationships, whether they're good, bad, short, long, she's not really there. So I do feel like there is some sort of primal / like spiritual / mystery to Lilith, and to how she's going to affect two people. For me, I would say it's really going to vary based on the relationship and the bigger picture. So here, I would say mostly for them, that was why people would talk a lot of trash about her or think that she wasn't good enough for Kurt, is because of her Lilith being square his Mercury and Pluto. And it would mess with his head a little bit. It would even make him wonder if he could trust her with the Pluto part. Okay, I kind of already said that. So let's get into the North Node. Her North Node trine his Sun, which is his identity. It's who he is, his personality, Pisces. Day in and day out, he is this imaginative, caring, loving, unconditional love, creative, sensitive soul. And her North Node, her life path, I believe it's trine that. I think it's in Cancer. She has this, like, basically a stellium going on in Cancer here, trine his stellium in Pisces. Where she was going was towards, like, family. Cancer's family, so that was her North Node. That's, like, she wanted a family, and, like, I can't say that for sure, but, like, Cancer on the Midheaven, which, yeah, this is her Midheaven. I have Cancer on the Midheaven too. So Cancer on the Midheaven with planets there, like, her goal, even though music came kind of easily for her, she had a decent career. And that's the other thing. Her Lilith is well placed, and it's in opposition to her Venus-Mars conjunction in her North Node. It's on her South Node. I do feel like her career, maybe it wasn't like, I think she had a pretty solid career in herself. And Kurt, his Sun and his Mars being there with her North Node on her career placement, it just was really complimentary. The way he went about things and his personality in general was very... Where's his Mars? Is it also in Pisces? No. His Mars is in Scorpio. So his Mars completes kind of their Cancer-Pisces trine over there in Scorpio. And again, I don't know if this got cut off yesterday. No, I think it was in there in the beginning. I was talking about Kurt's Mars being in his second house. But, so his Mars in Scorpio and his Sun in Pisces creates a trine with her North Node, like a full trine from the 2nd, 6th to the 10th. And these are the houses of, normally the second house is security and money, but it also can be family, like your established family. Not so much like Cancer is your home life with your family and kind of your nuclear family, your siblings, or the family you want to create that has children. But the second house, sorry, that's my steam heater, you guys. But the second house is like that, kind of that family you come from, your lineage, your not necessarily your ancestors, but like your grandparents, your great-grandparents, like that security, kind of like generational wealth, because second house is money, it's security. So his Mars in the second house trined his Sun in the 6th house of work, trined her North Node in her Midheaven, in Cancer of career. So this is how they were able to sort of have a work-life balance, but it also brought a lot of security. It also brought, when she was headed towards her North Node, when she was doing her career things, even if Kurt might have been critical of those things, he was supportive of them, because his Sun and his personality and his Mars and his actions in general, just everything he did and thought, were just in alignment with where she was going in life and very supportive of that. And vice versa, like when she was going towards her North Node, it was no threat to him. You know, it was very much in harmony. So even if her Lilith might mess with her head or what people say, it's like at the end of the day, this North Node is a very high level soulmate. You know, if your North Nodes especially are in good aspect to each other, like trine, sextile, or conjunct each other, which you're going to see a conjunction a lot with people your age. You're going to see it's kind of generational who's going to be sextile or trine. It's going to be like, I think about 6 to 8 years apart is going to be well, anyways, and yeah, so it's so basically they didn't even need the generational thing because they're 3 years apart. So they were kind of in this place where their North Nodes wouldn't really meet or contact, even though I do think his North Node is in a friendly sign to hers. Yeah, his is in Taurus and hers is in Cancer. So they are sextile because 3 years apart is about 2 signs apart. So yeah, their North Nodes are sextile, maybe in a wider orb than 5. That's why it doesn't show up here. And this is her IC trine his Mercury. So IC is your home life again. It's where her Lilith is in her South Node. So he's just really able to communicate with her about the home, the family. This is, you know, why they could have established something in such a career where a lot of people don't. Now, would they have gone on and continued? Again, if not, I always blame the passion planets if there aren't any major divorce aspects. So it was going to be those Mars square Mercury's going both ways. And so to me that says, the thing about their chart is I love the trine with the sun, with their stelliums in Cancer and Pisces. Some people wouldn't call hers a stellium. That's okay because it's only like 3 planets in the North Node. Some astrologers say it has to be like 4 or 5 planets. Kurt definitely has a stellium in Pisces. But anyways, so again, that's like when you have more than 2 planets because 2 planets is a conjunction basically. But to kind of wrap this up, let's just kind of go over really quick. Oh yeah, I was thinking this last night too. Her sun is conjunct his moon. I'm going to make a video very soon, and I've made a few that I haven't posted, and I might have said this rant about sun-moon compatibility because I know that one of you was asking me on like the moon conjunction videos about sun-moon compatibility. Again, it's great for friendship. It's great for relationships for about 4 years. If there's no moon compatibility, it won't overpower that, but it definitely can. And make a nice like 4 or 5 year, like my high school sweetheart, his sun is trine my moon, you know, his moon was sextile my sun, but our moons were incompatible, so it lasted, you know, like 4 years, pretty solid-ish. Anyways, and then I had mentioned that her moon is conjunct his Jupiter. I love this. The moon is, you know, your peace, your home, your family, your inner life, and Jupiter is that benevolence. He's also family in his own way, like the structure, the wealth, the benevolence of family. He's also education. So he could teach her a lot of things, but like kind of that fun teacher, not like Saturn who's like, you know, you have to do this and you have to do that and you need to write this paper. It's Jupiter's like makes learning fun kind of a thing. So I love to see that. It's a very any planets to Jupiter. This video is coming out and I actually didn't include the moon, but it's Venus, Sun, and Mars conjunct Jupiter. Any planet's personal like moon to Jupiter is just great for marriage. Now, does that mean it's going to hold a marriage together if there's divorce aspects? No, but it can definitely convince you to marry someone you have divorce aspects with, and help it last longer than it would without a nice Jupiter, because Jupiter pretty much is marriage in the, you know, synastry. Moon trine Neptune, this is very spiritual. Again, this is another place where they had, you know, ESP, telepathy, maybe had a lot of dreams about each other, even when they were sleeping right next to each other, or they were, you know, on the other side of the world from each other. And again, another reason why they couldn't really get away with much when it came to hiding anything from each other. Let's see. This is with the birth times. I'm just scanning through. I actually don't usually look too much into these unless I'm really digging into the composites and everything on my other software. Yeah, so I'm trying to just make sure I'm not forgetting anything from yesterday that I had said. Yeah, I just think it's kind of the same as it was with Kim and Kanye, with the moons not being in proper dignity. They had these like really terrible Mars aspects with Venus and everything. And I'm going to make a video about this too, but I think Venus Mars like squares, if it's the man's Mars and the woman's Venus properly, again, wouldn't be different for same sex, but it's like the square opposition, they can have all these great marriage aspects and like moon trines and like Venus conjunct moons, all this great stuff going on, and a lot of relationships don't have that. Even marriages, they'll just kind of have like nothing bad, nothing good. So it's good to have these beautiful things. A lot of marriages like that, they will what was I just totally lost my train of thought. I like heard something outside. Oh, they won't feel a Venus square Mars, right, for a while. And if the moons are compatible, because if the moons aren't compatible and the aspects are perfect, it lasts about 10 years. But let's say the moons are in great harmony and they have a lot of great things, but they have like bad Mars aspects that are, but with something softer like Venus or Mercury, and not something as powerful. Like Mercury has power, but it's more like power to just drive yourself nuts with, you know, like Mercury retrograde. It's just annoying. Nothing really catastrophic usually happens. Like Mars, Aries season, like fires happen, car wrecks happen, because Aries is the warrior. It's very fiery. It's so when disasters happen, you know, well, like 9/11 happened during Virgo season, but we'd have to look into like that chart of that day, and I might eventually start doing those types of videos too once I get a bulk of, you know, the big one for 4 is 144 videos, so let's get that out of the way first. But like a lot of things will happen. One of my, so I don't like to speak about those kind of things. So Mercury though is more annoying. So a Mercury square to Mars, it's just going to friction break over time. Venus square to Mars, Venus and Mars are the lovers, so it's going to create a lot of attraction. But usually what will happen with Venus square Mars is one day and Venus and Mercury are very closely related. Remember, they're usually together. Like hers are a little further apart. Here, her Venus is in Gemini and her Mars is in Cancer, but see, his Venus and Mars are together in Pisces at about an 8-degree orb. So usually they're together. They're kind of softer planets. They're kind of the ones the other planets could push over. Like you put Pluto there or Saturn or something, or Mars, they're going to overrule Mercury and Venus. So Mars might be able to get away in a square with Mercury or Venus, which is kind of being the boss for a long time. But eventually Venus and Mercury are going to feel like, oh my gosh, this whole time, like with a Mercury square, I'll show you guys for the visual. With Mercury square Mars going both ways like these two have, especially in this tight of an orb. Oh, sorry guys, it's like cut off here. It was a 0.42 degree orb. It's like they could kind of railroad each other into things mentally, and it's going both ways. So it's like they could really talk each other into things. If some outside party came and was like, hey, Kurt, you know, I don't agree with Courtney about this, like I think you should rethink it, he might be like, yeah, I'll rethink it because there's, you know, other things. But she could come in with her Mars and like be like, no, we're doing it this way. Or he might be able to come in with his Mars square to her Mercury and be like, oh, after talking to that person, we're going to change this. But it might be a little bit of a battle, you know. And this over time can wear on them. So with a Mars square Mercury or Venus, if the moons are as great as these two's moons are, and I've seen this before, I've seen a Venus conjunct moon trine going, you know, both their Venus, they had a Venus moon conjunction and a trine with them, and they had Venus square Mars, and it can last like 20 years, but Mars will eventually get you. So if you want to be married for life, don't go with any Mars square or oppositions, even if you have beautiful moon synastry, like these two have this moon conjunction. Now it's 10 degrees. I do think if their moons were within a 5-degree orb, that they wouldn't have these kind of Mars squares. And you're like, well, how could you know that? Because if we just fast forward it, and Courtney had been born 6 to 12 hours later. No, his moon's below hers. So if Kurt had been born, for example, 6 hours-ish later, I would have to run the charts. His moon would have been, her moon's 23 degrees. Oh, yeah, it's right here. Her moon's 23 degrees Cancer. So if Kurt had been born, like, let's say approximately 6 hours later, his moon might have been, instead of at 13 degrees Cancer, which is still a great conjunction for the moon, you're definitely going to feel that and enjoy it and love it. But I think it really still does have to be like within a 5-degree orb for it not to have these other aspects. So again, you're like, well, how could that be possible that all of a sudden those Mars squares wouldn't be there if he was born 6 hours later? Well, they probably would be, so this is fate. But if he was born 6 hours later, his moon might be at like 21 degrees Cancer, and that would mean that they may be able to overcome those Mars square Mercuries. But still, I don't know. I just don't like Mars square anything. So I would say at the end of the day, with Mars squares, Mercury going both ways, they don't have a whole lot of, even though they have some really great marriage aspects, like especially Saturn trine Mars, they don't really have the mirroring that I see going on in twin flame birth chart. And for example, I dated someone who our moons are 10 degrees apart-ish. They're about 1 degree off more, half a degree off more than Courtney and Kurt's conjunction in proper dignity. And then I realized that his Mars was square my moon, which is just, again, it's like I want to idolize, okay, the moon conjunction so great and so rare that this Mars square moon or this Mars square Mercury thing can be overcome, you guys. But at the end of the day, if it's 10 degrees, it's still not really a twin flame. Like, it really has to be within 5 degrees. And even then, you have to look. Like I told you, I saw a couple, they never got together at all because they have Venus square Uranus. And that can happen. And if they did get together, it would have been a lot of on and off. And eventually the Venus person, which was the male, I believe, would have felt very hurt. And who knows, maybe they had a private affair. I don't know. You know what I mean? But, and maybe he did get hurt by it, but because their moons were so close together. So you want to look at the moons first always, but then you have to make sure that there are no deal breakers or divorce aspects. Again, I don't have Mercury square Mars as a deal breaker. It's more of a red flag, kind of like Mercury square Sun would be, or Mercury square Neptune. The deal breakers are Mars square Jupiter. I always repeat these to you guys. Just Mars square Jupiter is a deal breaker. Saturn square Pluto is a divorce aspect. Those ones are for sure. I have like the 5 of them that, for sure it's not going to work. Mars square Moon, that's probably one now. So these two, I don't know, like if they would have reconciled or not, but what I was going to say in my long tangent is when you have Venus square Mars, if it's in proper order where it's the woman Venus and the man Mars, it'll just be like one day suddenly there'll be a big blowout. Like years of it underlying, and then one day and it's over. So they didn't feel it the whole time because Venus was pretty much smoothing it over and submitting to Mars. Kind of like a moon square Mars could do. The moon could kind of submit to Mars. But the thing about moon square Mars, I'm actually going to make a video on it, so I'm not going to say it here too much. So look out for that. But yeah, I think I'm pretty much wrapped it up. I'd say that these two were very, very high-level soulmates. With her North Node aspects, he definitely was meant to come into her life. Would they have parted ways eventually? Yeah, I do think that Mars square Mercury was really wearing them down as they were on the verge of divorce. So twin flames, it's very hard for them to come together. But I just don't, maybe it's me in my perfect world, but I have seen like a couple married for 40 years. It was one of my clients was actually inquiring about whether he would ever leave his wife, and I looked at his wife's chart, not to call anyone out, but I deal with a lot of different circumstances, and him and his wife had Venus Mars conjunction going both ways, which is like unheard of. Never see that, in my life. And moon, like a moon conjunction, or I think it was a moon conjunction too. So I was like, I don't think he's leaving her, but her and him had like Venus conjunction Mars too or something. So I'm like, yeah, he's definitely probably like attracted to you. Like you're definitely feeling the chemistry, but he's never acted on it, right? She's like, no. I'm like, I don't think he's going to leave his wife. But anyways, so yeah, the point of the matter is, I don't want you guys to waste your time. That's why I made the video, Are You Wasting Your Time? So again, if you have time, I really highly encourage you, if you are still out there looking for your mate, to submit to the Divine Timing Database. If you're in a relationship and you're really just not sure which way to go with it, let me see here if I can get to the, oh no, you can go to, I think it's actually cheaper for you guys here on rotation411.com, because we also put it on Psychic's Gold. Let me see, maybe I don't know. There's a lot of different, it's like, so I gotta make a TikTok, you guys. Alright, no one's even in here with me. It's 9:30 on a Saturday night. Everyone's out. I might go out tonight. We'll see. So Divine Timing Database right here on rotation411.com is where you want to go if you want, if you're tired of online dating and meeting a bunch of losers and you want to meet someone you're actually compatible with. You go to the Divine Timing Database and submit. If you are in a relationship or you want to know more about yourself, self-discovery, you're trying to figure out your career, your life path, your North Node, you can order your birth chart here under Astrology. Or for Relationship Compatibility Report, we see. I think it's supposed to go to, I don't even know where these go, you guys. But no, definitely you can order from there, and I will be the one doing your reading. But if you just have like a quick question it does go. Okay. So if you go to Relationship Synastry Report and you want me to go over your chart, like with Courtney and them, you can do synastry without birth times. And so I'll give you like a 15-minute video going over the aspects and the moons for you and whoever you're inquiring about. And synastry with birth times, I will do, it's about a half-hour video. I don't know what I wrote in here. And then synastry plus composite, I will do the actual composite. So, for instance, I was talking earlier about how Courtney's her midheaven is in Cancer, so really all she ever wanted, as with the midheaven in Cancer, I have this, so I know a little bit about it. It's like most Libra risings will, not all of them. Actually, hers is really close to Leo. It's 0 degrees Leo. Actually, that brings fame. Leo midheaven's fame. But with these planets, she's really wanted a family in a way, whether that's like a career family or even traveling, ninth house, like. She could make family too. Like when she's traveling, she can really get along well with anyone she meets and make them feel like family, and they feel like family to her. She really can relate to people, especially when she's traveling with that ninth house in Cancer. So her sun and moon there, like her heart is her moon. She has a real feel for this, desire for it. And the sun, it just comes naturally to her. I don't know how much she travels, but she's a very natural traveler. Obviously, being in a rock band, she's on the road a lot. It's just not a difficult lifestyle for her, like it might be for someone who has these planets on the 4th house. Like her 4th house is in, this is a very creative Aquarius, I see. But say she had her IC down here in Cancer with her sun and moon there, she'd be someone who wants to stay home and have a family, rather than being able to be on the road. There's so many different ways that this can play out. It doesn't mean like everyone with anyway. Alright, I'm totally rambling, you guys. I was much more clear and concise last night and to the point. But yeah, I just wanted to wrap it up here. If you are an advisor, I think I might have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, the first day, but readings.psychicschool.com is hiring. Again, I work for many different platforms. This is the only platform of its kind where you can literally just go on and go live. Once you get a little more advanced, you can do what I'm doing right now and stream to YouTube and everything at the same time. See? And if you want to book a reading from me, you can go here. And I'm going to start doing, the reason I wanted to connect this so bad is I'm going to try to start doing some general readings and stuff again and come on like live Tuesdays and Thursday nights or something, and schedule it so you can come on and catch me. And you can, once you get done watching me, say you're on YouTube right now and you decide to hop over to readings.psychicschool.com and watch me. As soon as I click out of here and I'm just live, you can order a live reading from me. So if you are an advisor and you want to hop on, it's a good place to get started. If you don't already have your own set up, or you want something for those times when your clients maybe aren't coming in and you're just kind of waiting around. I know everything kind of ebbs and flows. I work for 3 or 4 different platforms, but now I have clientele on those different platforms, and I don't want to take away from the platform, and them establishing me on there, so I don't cross promote. But yeah, if you want to get in, like I said at the beginning of the video, I built this for those friends of mine who could not get hired onto the other platforms because they weren't just taking any more people, and maybe their screening process. But if you are an advisor, this is what the back end looks like. You can come in here. I don't know what that error is. Oh, this is a different account. that's pending. So this is what the back end looks like. My computer is going slow because we're live streaming and recording. I clicked down too many times, you guys. There's the buttons there. So you go live, or you can just go on for instant calls, instant messaging. Say maybe you have little ones around, but you are able to concentrate somewhat, but there's noise or something. You can do just the text messaging one. I like to do that one sometimes if I'm like working on other projects, and then I can just stop and write. Also, they're lower tier in price, so sometimes clients like to go for those. So anyways, instead, because it's just more affordable than doing a full-on video call. I do think the video calls, they are higher priced because we have to get on here, kind of like when we do live stream, not be in our pajamas, etc., and be professional and ready for you to do your reading. So let's see here. I am totally rambling because I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. Because I know last night I had said a few things and I was mulling over them in my brain. But yeah. So I'm going to try to be a little more regular. I've got my setup set up a little bit better now. And I'm done with this big project that I was working on, or two big projects that I was working on. So yeah, I think we're going to wrap this up. Again, if you are watching this on YouTube Live, it's going to be stitched together as part 1 and 2 as one. If you're watching this on Facebook, I encourage you to go to YouTube and go to Rotation 411 Astrology channel. You can also always watch from rotation411.live as well. Yeah, I have pretty much everything set up now. So now I just got to get on here and actually tell you guys everything. All right, it was a lot of work, but we made it this far, and hopefully I'll have some guests on soon as well. All right, I'm sending you all love, blessings, and light. It's Saturday night. I'm going to eat, and I'm going to go do something because I'm feeling a little frenetic. Yeah, so the conclusion is, at the end of the day, I think that these two are very high-level soulmates. I do believe that everyone's meant to go when they're meant to go. So if that is so, they're possibly twin flames, but I do think that if he would have continued to live, that they probably would have gone their separate ways with those Mars aspects. And again, I think that had the sun's been within a 5-degree orb, you're not going to see those kind of Mars hard aspects. You just don't. It's the only time I see them is if the moons are not in proper dignity, or they're kind of outside of a 5-degree orb. 10 degrees, it's almost like I feel like you're getting closer, or you got really close to who your twin flame is, but you just, it is obviously, it's just very high level soulmate with the North Node contacts that they have going on. That adds a flavor to it. So, because like I said, with my moon conjunction relationship, it was 10-degree orb, proper dignity. We didn't have, I don't think we had North Node contacts, which means we're not really on the same path, So these two had North Node contacts, and I do believe North Node contacts with anyone means that they are meant to come into your life for a period of time, at least. So it's kind of like, yeah, you might have these hard aspects and you're not meant to be together for life, but they were meant to come and be with you to show you how to get to where you're going, sort of a thing. Or you were meant to show them. But anyways, alright, I'm done with my astrology rants for the evening, and I hope that this all played through, and good evening and good night.